Howdy folks, welcome back to the Squirtle Squad YouTube Gym Leader Challenge channel here, and in this video what I wanted to do is go over the epic conclusion to Season 1 at Atomic Planet Comics. So for those of you that don't know, our home base is Atomic Planet Comics and Games, which is in Fishers, Indiana. It is just a brief jump right across the interstate from Indianapolis. So if you're in the greater Indy area, Fishers is the northeast corner of the kind of circle city box, and it's an excellent place to pop in to check out new games, comic books, including Weekly Polis, and of course the Squirtle Squad Gym Leader Challenge, which is typically on Friday evenings. So for more questions on that, it is posted on Pokemon Play Tools, so check it on out, and feel free to swing on by to flip some cardboard with us on a Friday night. We've been going on for more than a year now, and so this is the conclusion of the first year, the first season of the Gym Leader Challenge, which we had. Manuel has been our team captain and primary organizer, and so he is the primary individual responsible for founding the Gym Leader Challenge League there. So I want to give a special shout out to Manuel. He did succeed in winning not one but two badges for the season, completing both Psychic and Fighting. Manuel is an excellent player, but unfortunately as an organizer he doesn't get to play every week, so he would make odd pairings even by joining, but if it was even he'd sit out the night, and so because of that he had a very infrequent ability to actually play, but was represented quite well when we went to the Full Grip Games 3K for the Perfect Order pre-release. So thumbs up and congratulations to Manuel. Overall, it was a very epic showing for the year. We had a total of 13 badge winners. 42 badges were handed out, so of course not every Friday would go. So, you know, things around New Year's or Christmas, we might not have one. We'd pause there for some of the other weekends. And so of the overall year, we had 42 nights with a quorum to be able to hand out a badge, and that was a pretty good showing in my opinion. A lot of people here. I was able to take home the leaderboard at the end of the day, so I was able to complete 9 of the 10 primary badges, not including Fairy. Fairy was never played to the best of my knowledge at any of the events, but I was able to win a badge with everything except Metal. Oh, I just could not put the pieces together. And with the recent evolutions in the meta, I think even the Arch Nemesis deck that was recently revealed on Tricky Gym is going to be a tough one to make happen for a variety of reasons. And you kind of see that with the placements I talked about at the Full Grip Games 3K Challenge. For the Perfect Order, the Arch Nemesis deck didn't do very well, and part of the reason it didn't do very well, I think, is because of the Fighting badge, which was our most winningest badge. So I said we handed out 42 badges total. 8 of those were Fighting, and a lot of those in the late fall. I would say going into fall there were 0 Fighting badges up there, and with the evolution of the RDK deck with you know, the Rocks, Tinglu, and Ogi Dogi, Fighting made a pretty epic appearance on the board. And the most recent badge winners with Fighting were Noah, Quinn, Manuel, and Nick, all of which took home most of the last month, predominantly with Fighting, and it was some combination of RDT or the new Tyrantrum deck. And man, Tyrantrum plus Ogi Dogi is simply busted in Gym Leader Challenge, and so I think people are gonna have to start teching for that as a primary target. It's just so many hit points and so much damage without a whole lot of energy attachment, and you can cycle the Ogi Dogi. I would say if this is an indication of the broader meta, Fighting has actually surpassed Psychic as being the top dog. It was definitely the winningest deck here, with just an epic increase in the number of badges for the last 6 months of the year, with the RDT evolution and the Tyrantrum most recently just blowing everything else out of the water. Psychic had a very good showing with 5 badges, so I was able to do that. There's a previous video on the Psychic deck that we built and brought to the Full Grip Games 3K Challenge for the Perfect Order release. You know, I did very well with it, and I was very happy with how the deck performed. A lot of individual teching. Manuel and Nick were the co-pilots that day, did very well. Zach actually won with a Lost Zone Psychic, which he played the heck out of until he had that deck memorized like none other. True passion driver there. The other person that did very good was Jeff, and Jeff had 8 of the badges, missing Metal and Grass. Also a very skilled player. Luke, very skilled player, plays mostly standard, but we can talk him into doing some gym leader challenge on Friday nights. And Josh also with 6 badges, so very well represented. The other types that did very well was water, also had 5. Normal type had 4. A lot of those were earned before the double turbo ban, but a couple of them were added afterwards, and so a good representation from normal. I think its primary issue right now in the meta is the prevalence of fighting, which makes it very tough. Lightning had 4, so for a type that I think a lot of people have kind of viewed as a dead type, again, because it's weak to fighting predominantly, it did actually do pretty well here. With 4 badges. Some of those were earlier in the season. Dark had 5, Dragon had 3, Fire had 4, and Grass had 4, and very different fire builds throughout. Some people were using the chicken to do double knockouts with the Blaziken. Other people had more of a tank, and a couple people had more of a basic tank kind of crank deck going on. So a lot of different builds there for fire. Jeff tried for a long time to get fire mill to work, and I would say he was able to get a pretty good win rate, even though he didn't get his badge, I don't think, with the mill version of fire, but very skilled fire player. So that was our season there. We're going to kick off season 2 in June. So hopefully this video will drop between the conclusion of season 1 and the start of season 2. We will see what comes of that. This had no representation from Fairy, which is a trend I'm expecting to continue. Sorry to Matt, who always advocates for us to play Fairy. The other badge here that was missing is Metal. It was just universally not there. And I know the Arch Nemesis deck was built to really block out those basic attackers and send maybe the only evolution attacker into the lost zone. I really feel like that build is going to struggle now that there's evolutions in fighting that can also attack. So particularly that Tyrantrum is just brutal, and you know the Tyrantrum versus Arcralodon is not even a close matchup. That Arcralodon I think needs to hit it 3 times to take a knockout, and the Tyrantrum in principle could make a one-shot on the Arcralodon, assuming it has the advantage of Muscle Band, Strong Energy, or the Power Boost Pro. So there's a lot of ways to manipulate that last little bit of damage to take that initial knockout. Because of that, I think Metal's going to continue. It has all the right pieces, but it's just too slow in my hands, and a little bit not quite consistent. You know, Water has so much consistency built in with a lot of the extra trainers and the help of the Drizzile and the Sawbell and the Abyssal Hand Octillery. So it has a lot of draw support, a lot of search support, and it has a lot of extra things like Irida and Dive Ball and things to help make it even more consistent. The fighting just is so powerful with the Lunatoid Soul Rock turn 1 draw support to being able to crank to support it. It also has the extra supporter to be able to go find an item and a fighting type Pokemon, and so that just helps out so much. Karina, sorry, forgot the name there. But that one is just so powerful. So I think again in season 2 we're going to see just thrashing from fighting as the best deck in format. We'll probably see a very high representation from Psychic, both because it hits a lot of the fighting for weakness, although not all of the above, but also because it too is so consistent and can rely on those basics just getting in place and doing what they need to with the knockouts. Water again is very consistent, particularly with that Hydro Pump or some of the other water builds that are out there, Low Tide and such. So those are going to be my 3 picks going into season 2, but you know, anything could happen. Dragon could have a pop off. I was tweaking my Dragon deck the other day. There's a lot of new cards always being printed that can throw a really big wrench in the meta, as we saw with Soul Rock and Lunatone and now with Tyrantrum. So anyway, this is the add up here for the meta in Fishers, Indiana at Atomic Planet Games. If you're ever in the area, please stop on by and say hey to Greg. Thank you to Greg for supporting the league, giving us space to play, and helping us organize through Pokemon. Without that, keep on flipping the cardboard you enjoy, and Squirtle Squad.